Today, the Hippo defense slow run continues as we look to hit the rating of 700. Quick reminder as well that if you want to take your Hippo game to the next level, I got my advanced Hippopotamus defense course in the link below, both in the description and the pinned comment. Let's get right into it, guys. Okay, so here, very interesting name there. Okay, interesting. Here we go. Okay, playing as black, we got, okay, interesting. So this here, that's a high level move. That's a high level move. Now, there's different ways you can play against that. You could strike with d5. Actually, now that I think of it, I don't know if f4 is the best right away because of d5, theoretically speaking. So maybe I take that back. I don't know if this is that strong. It is strong maybe if you make a move first, but like knight c3, for example, to prevent this. But all that said, okay, here we go. Knight f3. Okay. All right, so a little bit of a unique setup here. We got kind of an Austrian Grand Prix thing going on with a fianchetto on g2. I'll go b6, and you know what? In this game here, I'm gonna take the space they give me. I'll just take the space they give me. All right, they just weakened d4. This is now a hole. That is a square that no white pawn can ever defend or attack again, so I'm going to target that. Should I fianchetto here? Yeah, probably. Okay, so we kind of got a pseudo hippo thing going on right now. As we got a full hippo structure, except our knight is not on d7, it's on c6. But this makes it so that this knight can filter in as well as this one. I'll castle. Feeling pretty safe over here. f5 at some point can be okay. You do got to be really careful, though, guys, about knight g5. Okay, be really, really careful about that. Now with that move, if I go here and they take with the bishop, I would end up with a pawn on d4. I don't love that. I could go here. How many attackers do they have? 1, 2, 3. I have 1, 2, 3 defenders. They would have discoveries after that with their bishop, but I don't think they can do much with that. So, okay, I'll push. Oh, they just give me a fork in the center. Yeah, if they took on d5, I could take, just keep taking all day long. And then they technically have discoveries, but the knight really just can't go anywhere. That's good. So that would have been okay. I also have a bishop looking that direction. All right, now I'm okay with this because at the end of it, I'm not going to have to take with my pawn. I can take with a piece, which is much better. Let's go. All right, if I take with the queen... I mean, if I take with the bishop's good, the queen's okay. If I take with the queen's great. The bishop's also still strong. So let me get my worst piece active. That also puts some pressure on that backwards d3 pawn. It can't push with the support of another pawn. I have a pawn looking at that square, and it's on a semi-open file. Those three things make it a backward pawn. A lot of people think that they see a backwards pawn when it's not, but this is. All right, rook over, we go there. Can they defend it? I mean, if you go bishop f1, yeah, I mean, might as well add some pressure there. Add some pressure, see what they want to do with it. The queen can take on b2 or d3. I'm going to take on b2. Because d3 is still going to be weak, and I'm threatening that rook now because of my bishop, my hippo bishop on g7. Okay, so I got 2 on that. They got to run away or defend it, but if you defend it, I still win the exchange. And a pawn. Yep, queen c1, I'll take that rook. My hippo bishop flies in. All right, we're now up 8 points. Check. Okay, backwards pawn. If you defend it, I'll add the pressure. If e5, I can take off your bishop and then activate my knight. All right, g4, sure. So that guy falls. I mean, I could do this, takes, but then I lose my rook, so I don't want to do that. Let me just trade. Okay, that's a hole. Let me take that square. And that's a great square for the knight as well, because their bishop just Can't do anything. It's a bishop. In my endgames course, I talk about that quite a bit. Knight versus bishop in the endgame, and how, in my studies, most of the time in the endgame, at the GM level, the knight outperforms the bishop, which not a lot of people talk about. Okay. Most of the time. Most of the time. Not always. So, as we know, guys, endgames are all about promotion. First things first, I gotta get a passed pawn. That's the first step. Get a passer. Neither side has a passed pawn. I can see with this guy, but I can't actually promote without getting stopped by a pawn. I mean, with that move, sure. Okay, now I got 2 passers. Now we got 3 passers. Trading's fine. And I'll cut off that king. Cut the king off and then look to promote. Let me just make sure I'm not stalemating there. And then continuing with checks is a good thing, right? Just to avoid stalemate. There we go. There we go. All right, let's see what we get here. Okay, e4. Oh my gosh, don't do it, bro. Please. Please. And don't bring the knight here either. I mean, how many times, guys? How many times we got to see this? It doesn't work. 1, 2, 3. It's usually 1, 2, 3, but if I see this, okay, fine. And going to h5 is never even a possibility for your opponent because you start out with g6 on the first move. That's probably another nice thing about starting out with the modern instead of the Owens with the Hippo, if you're under 1,000 ELO, because you just completely get rid of that whole queen h5 thing. Okay, we've seen a lot of players throw their knight in. Some go d3. Now, here's where I switch things up. Now I don't want to see this because it's defended. So you know what? Okay, I'll just stop it now. Until then, I was leaving that available. But now that d3 was played, let's slow that guy down. And now you got a queen that's oddly placed. This knight on h3. Why is it on the h-file? The bishop's okay, but you also haven't taken the full center. We have an incredible bishop. You've done nothing to slow it down. g4, that's pretty weakening to h4. I could jump in there right now. That's probably a little bit rushed, though. Okay, I'll go 97. I mean, if you push, I push. No big deal, huh? You push, I push, we're good. You move your knight out the way, you start pushing the h-pawn, we lock it up. No big deal. That's a lot of time you just spent just to lock it up, just to make it so that your knight and bishop can't ever even think about going to g5. Okay, knight f4. Now that move, okay, this is a little bit dangerous. If I go knight d7, they could take with the bishop, and if I take, knight takes, my queen is trapped, and the bishop on g7 hangs. That would be bad. If they go here, if they do that, though, I think I can go knight e5 right away. And if they go check, I take with the king. Do discovery checks all you want. Your queen's hanging. So I think that's okay. So if they go here, I'm not taking. Oh my gosh. That would be terrible. If they take on e6, I have knight e5, attacking the queen, and also attacking the bishop, not just with my pawn, but with my bishop as well. Knight c3 is played instead, though. And I'm thinking we go, I mean, I could do knight e5. I could go knight c6. Knight c6 is a solid move. Shout out to IQ. IQ was IQ 1 something, bunch of numbers. Was mentioning knight c6 against this type of structure, which is not the worst idea. I will say if your opponent can take d4 once you've played knight c6, it could be a little bit problematic with d5 on the way. But here, if I play knight c6, white can't stop this. So I would say that this is a playable move. It also puts a little bit of pressure on g5. Not that I take that anyway, with the bishop looking at my queen. But I'm thinking right now I'm just going to continue with a6, maybe b5. I don't usually do this, but even if white castles kingside, if I can take that space on the queen side there, I'm feeling okay if they did a4 later because this diagonal is so weak. But okay, they go a4. We slow that down. That's another thing too why I in tournament chess, I don't play a6 often personally. Hikaru Nakamura does it, so look, it's okay if you go a6 on move 4, for example. 1, 2, 3, 4. He does that all the time online. I just don't love it as well because a4 is played a lot against it, whereas if you play b6 and then a6 later, this is less apt to happen. e5. Okay, so that queen is looking to go up against my rook. I don't want you taking my rook. We don't want that. If I move my rook, they could take and take. I like that option. That's fine. As always, if the bishop takes here, I have knight e5 available. I could lock it up, which is pretty rare for me to even consider that when I see the e-pawn push. If I push this, I'm not threatening the bishop as much as it looks like a threat. It's just not a threat because I'd lose my rook. I would be threatening e5 though, and if I could take e5, that's a great position. Here, I can't take the bishop because I lose my rook. Maybe bishop b7. And then a quick c5. But the bishop runs and they defend d4. That said though, this is interesting too. This is a very odd placement for the knight. The knight's not defending e5. So if I go here, they go there. I fianchetto or move my rook or whatever. And the bishop runs away. I guess even if here it's not a threat, so I probably got to move my rook. Here, move the rook. They move here. Bishop defends, takes. I can take this because this is not a knight. This is a queen. Okay, I'll lock it up. It can happen where if you see the e-pawn push, you lock it up. As you see, though, it's a very odd position where my opponent has basically done the textbook don't do this, where you put all your pawns on dark squares with 2 of them on the 5th rank. This creates so many holes, so many squares that are forever unguardable for white. But again, this is not a threat. My rook would fall. And if I go here, it's still not really a threat. That move, yeah, sure. I'm okay there. You're not threatening queen f7. e5 is hanging. Now if d4, I'm a little bit tempted to go rook f8. Maybe. Yeah, rook f8. I could do that. I could also just keep my king right where it is. G6 is pretty solid. Against that move, I could take this. Does that open me up too much? No, it's okay. Take off that center pawn. Because you pushed this pawn so far, f5 is a great square for the e-knight to jump into. That also looks at d4 and f3. I forgot who it was, but one of y'all, I just read the comment. I don't know if I've responded yet. I don't think I have, but you said that the knights and the bishops decide the game before the rooks and queen even have their sip of coffee. Something along those lines, okay? And you're right. Oftentimes in the Hippo, the minor pieces and the pawns are doing so much work, and then the queen and the rooks come later, which is somewhat common in a lot of openings, but I'd say in the Hippo it's definitely to a higher degree. Okay, I'm going to attack the queen now. Looking at d4, which looks at f3, which is also very weak. No pawn can cover that. And often if you push your e and your g pawn, you'd want a bishop on g2 or, well, I guess g2, yeah, if the g pawn pushes. Okay, our knight continues to dance. taking on b3 as well is not a terrible idea. That would really create a fruit salad for white in terms of their pawn structure. Where is the queen going to go? I mean, he can't go there. e3. I could take the bishop and then fork, although then queen e4, my rook's attacked. Yeah. I think what I'm going to do right here is get my Hippo bishop ready. So I have a couple of threats. Really, it's to just take this bishop and then push the pawn. And if they take my knight, then the queen's exposed. But yeah, the threat was take this bishop off, push the pawn to d4, and then that creates a fork and that discovery. So even if you stop the fork, oh, I still have a discovery. That's the general idea. Of course, 94 might come into play, but they ended up taking the knight. And okay, there we go. Here we got e5, taking control of that center. Please don't do another scholar's mate. Thank you. Okay, so the center's taken. This only helps my bishop, and it weakens c4 and e4. This move hands me a pawn, knight f6, much better. And again, guys, you can go with a3. That's okay. I would just say that typically, unless it's a tiger, I haven't performed the best with it. But Hikaru Nakamura, he's okay, and he plays it. So if you want to be okay like him, you can do it. Now e4, that's a mistake. You just allowed me to take your queen. You lost castling rights. This is something I've talked about in the course, on the channel, many times. You can't push these pawns too early. Now, d4 at that point wouldn't have been the worst move on earth. Not the best move either for them. But e4, yeah. If you take with the knight, I can take with my bishop. I can also, develop with knight d2, for example. But I can break open that file. And now my objective is to really target this pawn on e4 and look towards castling queenside. Now I've already played e3. I guess for those of you that are under the 1,000 range, that could be one argument for playing this, just in case you see that. Takes, and then the queen flies in, your bishop could end up pinning that knight, which is very nice, both to pin their knight and to get castle queenside faster. So that might be a move order you want to consider if you're playing the Hippos white and you're under 1,000. For that reason, if you're over 1,000, over 1,500, you're not really going to see this all that often. Knight d2 attacks the pawn. How do they defend it? Bishop f5. Knight e2. I could go knight c3. Let me try that. Just develop the knight very quickly there. You can go with knight c3, or you can tuck this knight. You can tuck the knight, tuck this guy, look to fianchetto your bishop as well. That's very solid, very strong. Now the question is, do I fianchetto, or do I go bishop to d2? Or knight e2? They're all solid. I'll go b3. Knight d2 may have been a little bit better, honestly. But this is still okay. Castle queenside with check on the way. Unless they go here. If they do, I'll probably just castle queenside anyway. Tuck the knight. Okay, so we got our castle queenside with check. This is still weak. That is another benefit of putting your knight on d2. Your bishop does have the ability to look at that knight and take it right off. Now I'm wondering about knight b5. c7 is super weak. Bishop a5. I could take it. This is a very valuable bishop, though, because it does cover so many dark squares that nothing else can. I'm going to go h3 with the idea of g4, g5 potentially to knock these pieces off of e4, because that's where all my pressure is. I also have pressure towards d5, so if I can kick that knight and throw a knight into d5 once it runs away somewhere, that would be nice. And if they go h5, okay, they go h5. Maybe here. If they go rook d8, I might just connect my rooks anyway. It's hard, though. It's hard for your opponent when they can't castle, because I know it's the end game, but only queens are off the board. One, pawn for pawn and queens off the board. That's it. So there's still a lot of play. There's a lot of stuff going on. 4 minor pieces, 2 major pieces. A lot can happen. Kick. I'm going to go for that. Start really kicking those pieces around. You can go bishop g6, but once you go g5, I don't see how your knight goes anywhere that's very good. Okay, so they're going for a sack. That's interesting. Not sure I'd recommend that for them. I can't go knight e2, knight ge2 at least, because of this. And there goes my defender. Can't do that. I could move my rook. I could go f3. I'm going to go here. Now that does create an isolated pawn if they take, but that's okay. I'm up a piece for 2 pawns right now. And there's too much material on the board for those 2 pawns to be worth it. Maybe later on in the game, a knight versus 2 pawns, that could be a little bit scary, but right now there's too much play, too much activity. I could take with the bishop or the knight. If I take with the knight, my knight's just pinned. I'm going to take with the bishop. If I take with the knight, their bishop, you could argue, is better than mine. So why not get rid of those? And if you run away, then okay, I have a great bishop on f3. That can create doubled, isolated pawns and an isolated pawn on a5 the second it wants to. Okay, that's a blunder because I can take, and the rook goes 1 and 2, unless of course they block on f8 with their bishop. They end up seeing it. I'm up 4 points now. So I'll take that guy. Okay, this is interesting. I could take the knight, and that's kind of the end of the line. I don't want to go check at that point and give up 2 minor pieces for a rook and a pawn. That doesn't make sense. I could go check and unleash against that rook. And if they take my bishop, go check again. Or take the rook first. That looks pretty good. So I give up a bishop, but I can get the bishop right back with check. And then take your knight. Or take the rook first. I'm not totally sure it matters which one we do first. I think either is completely crushing. Now with that move, I could throw in a check. I could also just take your hanging rook. I think I'll do that. If you take my bishop, it's still a check. In fact, now that this rook isn't here, I'd probably go knight b6 and go take the other rook. Okay. All right, good play here so far from white. Make sure, guys, I've said this many times, don't do this or you're dead losing, because the bishop takes f7. Go e6 on the 4th move, or the 3rd move if you end up seeing queen f3. All right, good structure here from white. Looks like we got a 2-pawn center, so we may have to rely on the elimination principles that I've laid out in the advanced course and on the channel as well. I'm going to finish out my hippo. I'll go b6. This pin doesn't bother me. It's okay. It's all good. My queen's defending both knights, so take them all you want. I'm just going to take with my queen both ways. Now that move right there, the d-pawn pushes, definitely lock it up. We got these pawns aimed towards the king side. They're going for another pin. And they may be thinking about bishop c6, which against that move I'd have to move my rook. It's honestly not the end of the world, but it's a little bit annoying. I could go g5 and then tuck this knight. I'm going to go for that. And this is pawn structure you guys can get quite a bit. You can't force it. There's certain things that prevent you from getting it in. Like often against a lot of structures, if you play g5 without tempo, it's technically not very good because of h4, even though many players don't do that. But here, because I kicked the bishop with tempo, and sacking for the pawn's terrible, now I can tuck my knight right away, and you just don't have time. I have 3 attackers on that spot, so h4 doesn't work. Be careful as well. If you go here and here or something, the knight's trapped. Right now, h5 is something that's on my radar. Knight f4 is on my radar. b4, I don't know what that move does besides weaken the knight on c3. I think that's about all it does. I could go knight f4 right now. I could do it later. Either's fine. I think I'm going to go... Well, there's different things I could do. I mean, I could go a6. If you do go bishop c6, I run. I'm okay. I'm okay there. And I think it's worth it here with all of the momentum we have going towards f4. Part of me wants to play this just so that I'm covering c6. Part of me doesn't want to play it because my bishop is great here, and on b7 it's really not doing much except just blocking that bishop out. I'm going to go a6. If you want to jump in, I'll move my rook to b8. a7, it's not very flexible, so let's go b8. That way at least the rook someday could improve, even though it still can't move right now. And with a6, the knight can't get in. If you push this pawn, I push. I'm fine. Here, I could throw the knight in. Good move. I could castle. That frees up this knight. Let's go for that. Okay, I got a6 defended, so you can't take that. Of course, if you take on d7, I got to take with my queen. And this is a 2-on-2. As I always say, I don't care. 2-on-2, who cares? 3-on-3, I care a little bit. Quite a bit, actually. Now it's time to throw this knight in there, attack the queen. And this is where players get it wrong all the time. So many Hippo players, including a lot of my private students when we first start meeting, go, hey, I'm going to take towards the center here. That's what you're taught. But when you're playing the Hippo in this type of formation, you got to take away from the center. Taking towards the center, yeah, you get the semi-open file. Yeah, you're putting pressure towards the king. Yeah. But it's a little bit, how do I say it? It's a little bit of a closed path because your pawns really can't make any good breakthroughs. Your bishop has a hard time activating. Yeah, you could put pressure here. Yeah, but they go 1-2 and they're fine. Take away from the center, guys. You get 3 benefits. Your bishop, incredible, going after that knight on c3. You have a great square on e5 that wasn't available before. And you actually can continue to make pawn breaks happen. Here, b5, okay. Thanks for the knight. Our Hippo bishop flies in. We're now looking at the rook. Okay, rook a3. Now, something that is interesting is the fact that if I run here and they take, that pawn is super dangerous. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, that's not an idea I've really ran into a lot. I run with my bishop, they take. Can I do anything besides take? At the end of that, I'm up a pawn. So that's... Am I up a pawn? No, I'm just tied. Yeah, I'm just tied. Huh. That's not the best. So maybe I take here and then take that. That would give me a pawn advantage. If I attack the rook and they go here, I could lock it up. That's great. The problem is, what if they take? Then I take. Okay, that's the move. So I go here. All right. I'm like, there has to be something there. Attack the rook. If you attack my bishop, we're good. It's not back home like it usually is, but I'm up a piece. And if you take this pawn on a6, I'm not taking your rook because that pawn is disgustingly good. But I can give up a minor piece for it. and then snatch off your rook. And here you've pushed your pawn so far, you have a big tall pawn leading the way. In fairness, it's a good pawn because it's on my side of the board, but your dark squares are just too weak. Nothing can ever kick this bishop out. Nothing can ever kick this knight out on e5, unless, of course, they get f4 in somehow. And typically, guys, I'd say, hey, if you're going to play knight e5, bishop e5, whatever, and they're going to take, make sure you're not taking back with a pawn. That's a beautiful square. That's a great spot. Don't take back with a pawn. We don't need that. Okay, we don't need that. Just like we don't need simple carbohydrates. We don't need that. Just like we don't need a two-party system in the U.S. Okay, we just don't need it. Knight e5 is good, but you want to have a piece supporting it. So I have the queen there. That way, if the knight takes, my queen's ready to go. I'd like to play this as well. Probably got to go rook e7 before I move my knight, though, if I do end up going for that. I also want to throw out that bishop b7, I think is a good move. I think that's good. I do kind of like keeping this bishop here, but it's good. I just want to throw that out there because this is a very strong bishop for them. g4. All right. Your pawn's pinned. So that's not working out for you. I could go check. I could take first. Are they trying to force my hand? If you want to force my hand by trading off all these pieces to make it so my pawn takes back, that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm up 5 points. I'm not in a rush to take this. I could, but I don't have to be in a rush. It's pinned. If you get out of the pin, okay, I'll take. Unless you get out of the pin that way, then let's do this. Okay, rook falls. We have this passer, so this is the pawn I want to push. Go attack that rook. Okay. Start pushing this guy. I don't see how they're going to really stop it. Push, push. We got that covered and that covered. So that's unstoppable. Passed pawns must be pushed. Something about how I said that, it just sounded like musty. You know what I mean? Y'all know, like video gamers, like that musty scent. I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. My bad. All right, we're looking towards promotion. And there we go. Okay. 2 pawn center. Good move. Are you gonna... Nope. Okay. Hey, I thought we were about to get a tiger there for a second. Instead, we're getting 2 bishops next to each other. I could still see an Austrian. Now I can't, so now I'm good to block my bishop, move my bishop away. That's all fine. If I see an Averbach, I just do the Hippo anyway, but the Austrian's a whole different story. One thing to keep in mind as well, those of you that play my pseudo Hippo against the Austrian, you can go into a PIRC defense versus the Austrian as well, which is an option on move 4. I'll show you later. We'll take a look after this game's over, but yeah. And actually, I think earlier, yeah. So here, knight d7. Let's see, b6. But yeah, you can go into an Austrian, and I am currently working on a PIRC defense course, which covers a lot of PIRC defense theory, concepts, ideas, games, you name it, including that. So I'd say for those of you that play strictly the Hippo, it's probably not the course for you, but there is that Austrian chapter that I think could be helpful for a lot of you. And hey, ideas don't hurt. I think the Hippo is a system that combines a lot of ideas, including the PIRC, the modern, the King's Indian, the Vienna attack. As crazy as that sounds, a lot of ideas get overlapped there. So I went a5, guys. I usually go a6, but guess what? If a5, I can't lock it up, so this would be pointless. Now c5, that is very aggressive, my friend. I don't know if that's the best. I get it. You're trying to play c5, but the problem is I have my bishop here. And you're attacking me on the queen side, not the king side. So my king feels pretty okay. The two moves, well, three moves I'm thinking about are 1, 2, and 3. I'm leaving here with something. We're taking something here. The question is what? If I take this, they could take either way. Ultimately, it's the same thing for me. I'm going to take back and same position, whether they take here or here. At the end of it, these are going to fall off. That's good. If I take here, they could take there. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of that, because I take and they already have a passed pawn. I could take this way. That way, if they take, I could take with the rook. The knight does jump in, though. I like that position a lot, actually, but I think I'm going to go with this. Actually, you know what? Now that I say that, takes. That pawn's kind of by itself. Okay, you know what? I will do this. If I'm catching myself saying that I like this position a lot, maybe I should do that. Now, this is one of those scenarios where I could take the rook. I could. But gosh, that queen scares me. I mean, I can't lock it up. In the last few episodes, I've had moments where I take the rook and then I lock it up. But this is not a locked up center. If I play e5, they can just take as they have a queen on a1. So I'm not taking that guy. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. I'll take this, though. If you take, I can take or take. Part of it, too, is that they have a queen and a bishop here, looking at h6. They take on b6. Okay, we'll take with the knight. That's hanging. Do I want this bishop or this bishop? If I take this guy, they take c7. I take the rook. They take. I castle. Now there is no bishop looking here. That feels a little more okay to me. I'm not taking this right now, because then they look right at my rook. And I'd rather win a piece right now than the exchange. So I'm going to go in, take this guy off. Now, if they go to e3, I gotta reconsider if I'm taking that rook or not, because if they take back, I can't castle without dropping h6 on the spot. Which is definitely uncomfortable. I guess I have f6, but then I lose my rook, so what's the point? Here, okay, they go c5. It's very, very good move on their part. Takes. Looks good. Rook d8 looks solid. I mean, they're probably looking to take on e7, and I can't castle now because my knight would drop. If I move my knight, I still can't castle. What's the point of that? Can I get away with this? Takes. Rook. Over? I don't know. It's just so uncomfortable. With f6 and e5 being so weak. b3 maybe? They move over though? I mean, if I could trade queens and then take the rook, that'd be beautiful, but rook b1. I guess I go b2 though. Okay, I'll throw that in. I'm just advancing my passed pawn, also saving it. If they take it with the queen, I'm good with trading and then taking their rook. Now we're up material and there's no attack. If here takes, the rook saves itself, but then there's a couple of pawns that I can think about capturing right off. Of course, I got to be worried about bishop takes knight and knight c5 ideas there if I take on a4. We'll see what they come up with here. Okay, so bishop takes. I could take this rook. could. If I take the rook in that exact position, I'm up 3 points. If they take, I take. If they, let's see, check, I run. I think I'm okay there. Yeah, we'll take that guy off. See what they decide to do with that. The queen, again, you gotta take, right? I guess you could run. You could run somewhere, but that doesn't make the most sense to me. Okay, knight takes b3. I'm taking the queen in a heartbeat. e7 falls. We're up the exchange and a pawn. I am going up against 2 knights, so I got to be very careful here. Knights are very unpredictable. Anytime they move, they see completely new squares they never saw before. They don't see anything that they used to. They're connected. I think I'll put some pressure on it. c6 is covered, so I'm not worried about that. And now c5 is something I could look at. Okay. Trades are good. 2 knights are very hard to play against, so if I can get rid of one of them, that would be great. Okay. You can take the piece or the exchange, but it's much better to take the piece there. Okay. Check. I have that covered. Even if not, that would have been fine. Okay, it's on a light square. Let's target that guy. Alright, and I'm okay here. I'm babysitting that pawn. So are they. They can't leave. I mean, you could leave to attack my bishop, but then you're going to have to go right back. Now what I can do is I can walk my king over and then block the rook's vision. Or just take it, honestly. I'd probably just take it. I'm up material anyway. So no need to get super fancy there. All right, g2 is hanging. That's the weakness. Oh, now that's the weakness. If I attack it this way, they're okay. Let's attack it this way. That way something's going to drop. This or this. One of those is going to fall. Okay. That's weak. I could attack this, but then they push. Let me go here first to lock in that pawn into its spot and then go attack it. Now it's going to fall. I guess you could push it, but what does that do? And you know what? It's fine. You can have my bishop. I'm not worried about it. You're just not able to stop all the pawns. Push the pawns on the sides that are far away from each other slowly. This one, this one, this one, this one. Pre-move those. You're guaranteed to be okay. And now the king is outside of this pawn square. You can draw diagonal, or you can go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then finish it out that way. I usually look diagonally and then I round it out. But if the king is not in that area, right, at the end of their move, not at the start of it, at the end of their move, if the king is not in it, we're winning. King cannot catch up. We're going to have a resignation here. We're going to have this guy trying to survive. We'll see. Okay, check. Check. I'm okay with them taking that pawn. If you go here, your king's stuck on the edge already, so you got to go to f6 to survive a little bit longer. Probably start pushing this pawn. Just get it out the way more than anything. I think I'm okay even if I pre-move, but I'm to promotion, but I'm not gonna pre-move to that. There's no reason. I got 3 minutes left, so. Okay. There we go. Okay, that's okay. Check. Mate. All right. 1, 2 against nearly anything. Yep. These are not good moves. This is honestly a lot better than e5. e5 is just really bad, but there we go, c3. Okay, when I can, I'm a fan of this, covering dark and light. h3, they love their pawns. I mean, I can't blame them. I'm moving a lot of pawns too. f4 would be not good because of check. I'm going to go h6. It just feels like they might push that for some reason. Yep. Okay, check. So this is the short side diagonal. This is the long side diagonal. If you check from this direction, there are back rank pieces that can block in a variety of ways. This side, nope. So that can be something to keep an eye on. The king's on e2. I could run right back. I think I'm going to do that. Check them, run right back, keep doing my hippo, but now they can't castle. Just not able to do it. And most of the time in the opening, if you get that short side check, you have a lot of tactical options. I'd say here with the hippo, we don't, because we start out a little bit more slow, but that's okay. They can't castle. They could slow walk their king, but that's going to take some time. Okay. These feel weak to me. Maybe not d4. d4 feels okay, but e4 feels weak. No pawn can defend it. If you push it, then we get that diagonal. We get d5. Again, I don't know what your king's doing on e2. If h4, what is the move there? What's the move there, guys? If h4, knight f6. You're threatening both pawns. You're going to get one of them. Now here I'd only be threatening one pawn. Still a good move. But let's finish out our hippo. Okay, still got an eye on that guy. One defender. I could add a second attacker soon. If you push here, activate. If you push here, probably take. 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 Okay, they go there. I don't know if that's that great of a move for them. I'll take the space they give me. I'm looking at your bishop, which would lure your king out further. If you move your bishop, f4 falls. Takes, takes. That's fine with me. 2-on-1, and my queen can defend those very easily. c4, that's a good move. I'll get rid of that guy. The queen could have captured. Gosh, I mean, the king's on e3. I mean, come on. It's got to be something here. Takes. Let's start with taking. Let's start breaking this position open a little bit. We don't usually lock up the d-pawn anyway. What can they do? The knight taking is a blunder. This pawn taking, we improve. This pawn taking, we do have that diagonal, potentially. c5 as well. Definitely something to look at. Just continuing to break this game open, add the pressure. If you push or take, that gets weakened. If we take, that gets weakened. That's the whole point. Look at the base of the pawn chain, guys. Now, if this pawn was on c3, I'd honestly be less excited about this because there's such a strong chain helping that pawn on e5. But here, that's the end of the line. Right there. That's the end of the line, so we can attack it. You can't move it back. unfortunately, for them. The king on e3. It's just not often you see that when you're playing the hippo. Takes, the queen takes. Fair enough. Why not add some pressure? Why not? Add a little pressure, add some tension. This is not good tension for them. They don't like the fact that this is here. Taking's not good for them. Ever. Check. 3 attackers on e5. Pushing's not good for them. So, this is good tension. If it's bad for them to take, you don't have to take quickly. You can, but you don't have to. And the whole point of this is to add some pressure against e5, so that if I do take this, I actually have enough attackers on that spot. Now, knight e1, that offers a bishop trade. Do I want to trade, or do I want to just take this? Let's see. Takes. I guess I should do this first. Here. Takes. The king can't take. That's terrible. Queen takes. I could trade down into a winning endgame. I could take with the knight. But if I leave my bishop here and they take, my queen actually gets better. Okay, we'll do that. So we'll take here. Again, it's a position where if you take my bishop, my queen becomes incredible. Okay, I'll leave it there. Taking with the knight looks good. Just to create some tension there. I'm not even sure I'm threatening anything really with the knight, because that's not a threat, because the queen gets out of the way. Same with this. But it's tension. That's not good for them. Here we go. Our queen is now very active. We're looking towards their queen. Rook d8 could be good next, assuming the rook saves itself. Okay, so they want a queen trade. On one hand, I'm up a pawn, so a trade would be good. On another hand, if I trade into an endgame, they already have a very active king. The king went from in danger to very active in a single move. I don't know if I want to trade here. I really don't know. I think I'm okay. A rare moment where up a pawn I don't accept a trade. If I did accept the trade, I still love that position, but I don't know. The king on e3 feels too weak to trade into an endgame that fast. Check. Looks good. Can't go there. Could go there, but that's not really good for you. I suppose it supports queen c6 check. No, the knight covers that. So you can't do that. Now we got more attackers on this guy. I could go check. Is there anything else there? I'm not the most excited about that move. I could take is what I meant to say. Take, but I'm not the most excited about that. Let's check. Yeah. See where the king goes. We have enough attackers on this guy. The problem is my queen's attacked. So unless you go here or something, I'm not going to have the time to check you and take at the same time. Here, I suppose I could go check. And then distract that knight and then take with the rook. They go there. Here. Back. That looks pretty good. Here. Here. I could also go check there. I think we're just going piece for piece there. Still better for me, but is there something more? It's just always good, right? Look at, is there something better? Is there something better? I think we can go check, distracting that knight, take with the rook. If you check me, I was saying here, I could also run back. That's fine. And then I'm attacking both your queen and the hanging knight. I may just go for that. Queen e3, check. Okay, got some good pressure there. Knight e4, f5. King e2. We'll go check again. And then now you got to either drop your rook, or if you block with the queen, I can distract your king from the queen. It's always good to think about how many pieces are defending that queen there. Only one. Let's distract it. Let's make that king run away. The queen drops. Well, yeah. Y'all, there was a little bit of a technical mistake I made. Okay, so here we are. The game is going right now. I did 1, 2, 3. A3, just in case the bishop ended up going there. And now the move of d4 was played. I'm going to go e4. If you take, I can take with the bishop. If you don't take, okay. We got a locked up center facing towards the king side, which is exactly what we want. I can push my pawn up, knight e2, castle. They should not castle king side. Bad idea for them to do that. Okay, they should go queen side. Even then, I still like our game with f4, f5, but now we can really take that quick progress. I could go knight d2 first. That's good as well. But you just don't want your king here. I'm going to have, whether you take or let me push, a great presence on the king side of the board. And you just don't want your king over here. Now, by taking, they just weaken d4. So that's something to keep an eye on. Maybe we have b4, b5 ideas at some point. Hurling that knight over to f3 is a good idea. That move, my brain goes to that automatically to get that knight, but I just run into check or discoveries, so no thanks. Good move by them in the sense that knight g3 is not available now. Okay, I'm going to go knight d2. If you end up throwing your queen in, I could go knight f3 and I'm okay. Here, queen h4. Yeah, I don't love that. Probably knight f3 first. Okay, we'll go for this. So now your queen can't jump in. I also can't go to g3 right now, so maybe I gotta queen e1, knight g3 it, something like that. Okay, here we go again with the 2-on-2 stuff. I'm not worried about it. In fact, I'm gonna go b3 just so that if you push, I push, and you can't mess up my pawn structure at all and create an outpost. Okay, good move. Pretty rare we see this. Usually you see b4, which allows my entire pawn chain here to stay connected. Not good for them. That's better. At least it kind of breaks these pawns up a little bit. Okay, a little bit more drama between those pawns. Can I take this? It's still just a little bit concerning with that queen there. They have 2 attackers on this pawn. I have 2 defenders, so I'm okay. I'm okay. I could push and then unleash my bishop. Takes, takes. I guess they have takes, takes, and then fork. They also have bishop h3, queen d4. Yeah, it feels a little wobbly. A little overcommittal. Take, 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 here, here, check, here, here, yeah, it's okay. When it gets really complicated, sometimes, and over the board game, I'm sitting here and I'm taking 10, 15 minutes, but in a 10+0 game, I don't know. You could go for this. It may be good. I'll make sure to take a look at the game afterwards and see. The principal move is something like that. Just, you know, playing calm. I'd also throw that in. I'm going to do that. Just get the king off of this freaking G1 square where the queen could end up looking at it. The bishop could end up looking at it. Now the knight could look at it now, but I do have a knight on e2. And if I go to h2, there's a direct pin there. I don't know if I love that. So I think this is the safest square for us right now. I mean, what can they do? It's hard. It's hard for them with these pawns because they wipe out so much space. In fact, every single one of these squares right now is attacked by one of my pawns. So it's hard for any minor pieces to do much. If f5, we push, we have a protected passer. That's not bad. And there's no knight that can start dancing in there anytime soon. Now that move there looks like it's trying to support d4. My king's on h1 now. I could add pressure to it. If they defend, I kick. That looks pretty good. Of course, now I got to be worried about knight g3 stuff at the end of everything. Here, adding pressure. Takes. Like, what's my threat? Because I can't leave both knights with knight g3. Maybe queen e1. Let's go queen e1. That feels like a slow, good, improving move. It prevents bishop h4 because we got two attackers on it now, and it covers d3 from the knight. A lot of the Hippo is not playing heroic chess, not trying to win the game fast. It's just little improving moves. Like the last two moves I made. King h1, queen e1. Nothing crazy about those. Just improving. Slight improvements. Okay, so we got that covered. d4 is going to be weak, guys. It's not going away. It's going to be there. You can't, you know, run off into the distance with your pawn. You're stuck, okay? Pawns don't have good public transportation. So this guy's going to be stuck here. Three of these guys mowing down on it. I don't really know how you defend it super well. You could move your knight on c6 and then push this guy, but even then, you're still not going to have a pawn defending it at the end of the day. You could sack here, but that doesn't do much with my queen looking at b4 now. So that's fine for us. Here, I'm okay if they do that. A little bit less pressure on h3. If you end up forming a battery ram, I trap your bishop. Now g6. So that move right there, h6 is looking pretty weak all of a sudden. But if I push, they push. Yeah. That doesn't do as much as I'd like it to. I don't think. But you know what I can do? I can go knight g3 because the queen supports that. And my bishop defends f4. You only got one attacker on it. Takes is good. If here, that's a pin, so I got to take it. Okay, my queen is still getting attacked in a sense, but I can take on h5. Yeah, that's the best move by far. If you take my queen, they're going to get doubled and isolated pawns there. Now, I'll improve the queen. You could jump in. I don't know about that, as I have rook f2. And you could check me, but it's not anything scary. Gosh, this is almost a trap, guys. The queen is almost trapped, but it could take. So let me do that. Trying to get a little bit closer to trapping that queen. Now we can trap it. Now, of course, you can take on h3, but you're giving up a piece for a pawn. So that's good. Anywhere else, nowhere to go. Again, we got all this covered by our pawns. This is why this matters, guys. You just have so much coverage. It's hard for your opponent's pieces to move when you got side by side there. If at any point I pushed one of these, that queen would have space. And it's not bad to necessarily push one of them You just have to find the right moment. Okay, so that queen, yeah, you got to take. That's it. I'll pre-move those. Okay. Now again, you got a pawn on d4 that's very weak. A pawn can't even come to help it out. g5, interesting. Takes, takes, takes. Sure. Not sure why they're doing that, but I'll take it. Let's see, bishop e5's okay. Bishop f4 is good. Let's just play chill. Snag a pawn real quick. Attack a rook real quick. c2 could drop, but that's okay. I get the rook. If they go rook d8, I save my bishop. Now c2 is pretty weak. Let me hold on to it. Start looking at rook g1. My king is slightly uncomfortable over here with the knight one move away from checking it. Do I have a pin? I think so. If you take, I go there. If you don't, is this a pin or a skewer? A rook and then a rook. I don't know what that is, but it's something good, okay? Because they always say a pin means there's a more valuable piece behind it. They say a skewer is when a... Wait, let me get this right. A pin is when a more valuable piece is behind it. A skewer is when a less valuable piece is behind it. But what if they're the same? I don't know. Anyway, bishop g4. Okay, so the rook, I mean, you're going to lose the rook unless you take, but then you lose that rook. You could take here to get something and then take. That could be good for them, or the best for them. I don't know about good. Now that move, I think you just gave me another piece on top of everything. And I'm taking with the bishop so that if you check me, oh wait, that's covered. But yeah, guys, lose the exchange. Don't lose a piece, okay? So many players are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to lose my rook. I get it, but you're not losing the rook. You're losing the exchange. Okay, just really think about that. Just making sure this is not stalemate. It is not. Okay. Pawn goes up. Here we go. All right, d4. So I've been doing a lot of this on the slow run, on the speed run. Let's throw in c3. This is an option that I throw out on the advanced course. And basically what you get, guys, is often like if they take a position where you have two central pawns versus their one, a great bishop here, you're not in a hippo anymore, but I just wanted to give you guys that option. The engine loves it. I think for those of you that play the PIRC defense or the Czech PIRC, it's a really, really fun, nice option. And yeah, it can help quite a bit. So you got really nice long pawn chain. Yeah, you got an isolated pawn, but it's on the A file. It's not that big of a deal. You have a B file that is pretty fun to work with as well. Now with bishop c5, that does put pressure on f2 in a way that I don't necessarily enjoy. Let me just... Well, I was going to do that. Is this... No, that's not a concern. Okay. Yeah, I don't... Yeah, I'm okay. I'll just prevent their knight or bishop from thinking about getting into g4. That's the hippo player in me, right? Yeah, let's just throw that in. I'm not in the hippo, but I'll still use hippo themes. Which is, I think, really beneficial. I got into an argument with one of y'all during live stream or during a premiere about if you should play one opening or if you should play a bunch. You know, I think either's fine. I would say the main focus should be on endgames, mastering endgames, and on mastering tactics. Getting really good at tactics, endgames, board vision, not hanging a piece, being able to think 1, 2, 3 moves ahead. But beyond that, when it comes to the opening, which should come after all that in terms of improvement, I'd say play a bunch. Okay, Magnus Carlsen says that. It can't be that bad of advice if he says it. And I'd say it helped me quite a bit. I wish growing up I tried out more openings. I think I could have found the Hippo a lot sooner. I think I could have found more ideas more readily available. Now that move, I almost said my Hippo Bishop. It feels like my Hippo Bishop unleashes against the Rook. It's hard to play against a Fianchetto. It's very hard. I was playing a guy the other day in LA, and he played the Hippo against him, and he actually held up against the Hippo for quite a bit at a high level, but he said he had a hard time against Fianchetto systems because it's just so hard to keep track of those bishops. Okay, so the bishop flies in. Almost another trap of the queen, but she can escape. She can run away. All right, I'll trade down. I'm up material, so trades are good. If you take with the knight, your queen can support, but then your knight's not that aggressive. What is this guy doing? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That didn't sound the nicest. My bad. What is this? Are you good, bro? Sorry, that didn't sound nice either. My bad. The rook, I run back. So I get to keep my check PIRC Hippo bishop here, and what's the material difference? I'm up a piece, up a pawn, and up a rook, I think. Yeah. Up a bishop, up a rook, up a pawn. Okay. At some point, guys, you got to take stuff. I took something, took something, took something, took something. Black's got to just take something off sooner than that. Because if your opponent just keeps taking stuff all day, it's not good. Here, I'm not worried about it. I'm not even worried about check stuff because I already have h3. That's a big deal too because my knight does block the bishop from e3. And I don't have a pawn there yet, so yeah, takes, check. I don't have to worry about knight e3 stuff. I wouldn't go to f1 there, but you get the point. Now that bishop is, it's kind of active. I don't like it looking at f2. Let's just kick that guy out real quick. Make their piece less active. Castle. Start looking to hurl that e-pawn. There's nothing in front of it. It's not a passer because of f7, but there's not really much that can slow it down from getting to e5. I don't have to play e5, but right now I am threatening a fork. If here, I could do that. I guess it depends where the knight goes. Like if the knight goes to e8, maybe the knight could think about d5. But if it goes to d7, it's kind of hard for it to get there in that position. Now, if they're going to let me do the fork, great. We'll just take, assuming they take. You might as well get something for that piece. You're going to lose a piece. You might as well get 2 pawns for it. Not 1 pawn. Here, here, here. Here. Improve. Attack the rook. Or maybe just trade. Just trade. At that point, I'm up 10 points, so trade down, I'm good. And you can't pin my knight because the bishop looks right at that. Yeah, there's not much else to say, really, guys. Black's just kind of stuck. Yeah, there, okay. You only got 1 pawn instead of 2. Let's offer a trade. You can accept the trade or run away somewhere. All right, let's offer a trade. I want to take that bishop. Okay, they run. Let's offer a trade. No. F5. Don't do that. Don't do that. F5 is annoying. Do I have a tactic after that? I keep looking for one, but I just don't see a tactic. So maybe I gotta let go of offering a trade for the third straight move. No, I don't. Offer a trade. Okay. Let's see if we can offer a trade again for the 4th time. Yes. But I can also just do that, and one of these is going to fall. Okay, we got a London here. A London versus the Hippo guys. So much fun for the Hippo player. Not a lot of fun for the London player. Hate to say it. Well, I don't hate to say it actually, but okay, knight e7. Now they can fix everything by going e4. If they don't do that, I get a great bishop here, and I can often just maul them on the king side. The London is not ready for the Hippo. It's not. Yeah. Okay, I mean, that's fine with me. I'm doing what I want to do. They go back. I understand this is a common idea in the Jobava, but here it doesn't work. I already have my c7, d6 structure in place. The London is not scary to the Hippo player at all. Now, the Jobava London against d5, that's a whole different story, because the bishop can see here, the knight can look at this, and, you know, create some issues for us, but not here. Now, I almost got ahead of myself. Finish the Hippo. Start with that. b4, 2 on 2, I don't care. Kick the bishop. Here we go. Here comes our kingside attack against the London. Honestly, this works too. This or this. I'll tuck the knight. If you attack my knight, I can push. If you push there, okay, we'll lock it up. This is all connected, which is nice for me. Okay, good move on their part. A lot of players just don't do that, and it can go really bad for them really fast. I do have f5, though, taking the space they give me. Another issue with the London. Now you're just going back and forth. You're giving me too much time to improve. I'm not going to push here right now, guys. It's too fast, too early. d5 gets weakened. I'm going to go here. There's a big difference between playing e5 without d5 on the board and playing it with d5 on the board. Because once I push this, d5 is not good for them. It blocks in that bishop. It takes away knight d5, bishop d5 ideas. That said, I could take this knight. I could just take the knight. I could take the knight. I love that position. I honestly love this position too. Gosh. I mean, it's like I want to do this, but then I'm like, I don't want to discourage people from taking the knight, because taking the knight's the best. So yeah, take the hanging piece. Yes, this is beautiful for us, but we might get it anyway, actually. Okay, looks like we're getting both. Nice. So with that pawn on d5 again, and our pawn on e5, that bishop just can't see anything. It's not a good piece. e4, okay. Yep, the London and the Hippo are just not on the same level. Take away from the center so that my bishop activates. Usually my bishop's on this side of the pawn chain, but nonetheless. Okay, thanks. Improve the knight. Offer a trade. Since we took away from the center, we have pawn breaks available. I don't want to lock it up for them. Queen g5. If they want to take, that's cool, but I'm not going to lock it up for them. All right, f2's weak, h2's weak, f3's weak, e4's weak, c2's weak, a4's weak. Okay, now g2 and e2 are weak, d3, c, basically everything's weak. Let's go 1, 2. Okay, the hippo continues to roll on, y'all. 1, 2, 3. Next. Okay. Here we go. All right, so they're not taking the full center. Thankfully for them, they're not doing this. So it's not like I get a great kingside attack, kingside vision, all that. So this is a lot better than doing that, I'd say. That said, okay, I could still play knight e2. And then you got flexibility here. You can end up playing c4, knight c3 and going for that. You can also finish out your hippo. It's really up to you and your preference on that. I will point out that our opponent does have to be careful in terms of d4. In fact, I think they just gave us the win because we can force our pawn. We're taking with the pawn. You run away with the bishop, we push. You check, we go there. But at some point, we're going to be able to push our pawn up to d5, and we're going to have a fork. So that's another issue. If more commonly seen if they're aiming towards the king side, there's a gap there. Go get a piece. Okay, I can take on d5 all day long. I have enough defense there. c3 is defended twice, which is nice. So even after everything, if you pin my knight, I'm not worried about this. I still have the b1 knight ready to go. All right, now queen e7. I almost said queen e2. That's not queen e2, bro. Castle. Might as well get safe. Get off of that line of fire. And guys, I just blundered. Oh my gosh. So what do I got to do here? Take? Yeah. Take and then castle. What I just did here is I put myself in a position where my queen was overworked. Okay, well, that was going well. Now we're here. What do we have? We're down a pawn. So I got to keep material on the board and play crazy. Let's go bishop e3. Can't be making that mistake, bro. I'm talking to myself. Bishop e3. c3 does have pressure on it. b2 kind of forces my hand. I'm not able to save this pawn unless I move my knight. So I got to move this guy. I'll move it here. If the bishop takes, you're not well, I guess you kind of are threatening it, but I'm okay if you give me your queen. I'm okay with that. That creates a big imbalance. Knight c4 looks good. Rook b1 looks good too. Let's go. Okay, again, guys, the whole goal is to play crazy here. I give up a pawn. Okay, I'm playing crazy. I got to create imbalances here. Create tension. Knight e4, looking at that bishop. If you go to e5, I may have f4 available. And then if your bishop moves to f6, I take it. That move right there, that does give me the opportunity to take and then take a queen. Although if I take, they take my rook. Ooh, very tricky. Nice. Nice. Okay. Well, maybe I don't do that then. Queen g5. Looks fine. We'll do that. Putting pressure on that pawn. If you go there, I take it. If you go to e5, we go takes. Sorry, e5, we go f4. f6, maybe here. I can't check, unfortunately. Okay, we'll go f5. Had a one game there, guys. Just drop the ball. I had the right idea by castling, but I got to take first and then castle. Okay, that just hangs a piece. Yeah, so we'll take that guy. Okay, now we're at even material, so now it shifts from playing crazy, keeping material on the board, to going, you know what? What's best? I can trade. I can avoid trades. I can play crazy. I can play normal. That's the adjustment I got to make now. If queen c2, I could take and then take, or take right away. And if they take my queen, then I have a fork, although that's just kind of fancy for no reason. Yeah. I mean, you can go here, there, yeah, that's fine. Bishop c5 looks strong. Forking the knight and the rook. Black here should go, hey, I'm going to save my knight and lose the exchange. Not, there you go, not I'm going to save my rook and lose a full piece for nothing. Check, they block, I don't want that. Let's go here first, then I can think about check. Or check with the queen there. Okay, they don't want me to check them, fair enough. Takes there, it's a little, that knight is active, I'm not gonna lie. That's an active knight, active horsey right there on d4. Takes here. Here, and I'm fine. Check though. Yeah, I just don't want your knight going there. I'm okay. I don't want that. Okay, so I'm gonna improve a piece and prevent that. Don't worry that don't worry about, oh my gosh, I'm being too reactive. It's okay to be reactive in chess. That's what chess is. Improve a piece and prevent them. That's good. You didn't make your piece worse and prevent them. Now they do have that passer. If I take and I go check, they just block. I don't really want to give up material anyway. I could check and then take with the rook. That move order works better. Do I want to give up that material though? Not necessarily. Okay, I'll throw the knight in. I'm looking at c7. I'm also looking at f6. Now that is material I may really consider giving up, because that really breaks open their king in a way they can't ever patch up again. That's the threat. If you go queen a5, queen d7 maybe? My knight is pinned, which is not the most enjoyable thing on earth. There's an issue. There is an issue. There, they don't have to take with the knight. They don't have to take my queen. They could take with their king. It's not the end of the world, but not the best. I guess I have check. Check. They run. Yeah, what am I doing? Queen e4, they kick me. Queen f3, they go knight e5. I may just have to do that though. Yeah, so guard the knight. If they attack my queen, I can go to really any of these squares. h1 doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Queen e4 is the most active. I'll do that. It's a little bit loose with rook e8, but I guess if I take, I get checked, so that's not good at all. If rook e8, maybe I move my knight. Well, now you're asking me to move my knight, which I'm honestly okay with. The knight felt a little bit uncomfortable there, like it was trying to get somewhere, but in its current spot, it was a little bit frazzled-dazzled. Takes, the queen takes, and then the queen blocks. Can't do that. Okay, so I'll move. Now e6 is eyed up. You can't go there with the queen. Not like they do that anyway. Now, if I take with the queen, boom. If I take with the rook, check. Not takes, because I have a fork. I could take here. I could go check and then take. That might be the safest route, although taking is pretty hard to ignore, because it gives me this threat It gives me g6, trading off the knights, and that knight is very annoying. Check. I'll probably go to h1. Just so that with the king being 2 squares diagonal of the knight has no checks available for a very long time. Whereas if I go here, there are potential checks they could think about. So I'll go to h1. If here... Okay, they don't do that. They go takes. Check. Check. They block. Oh, you know what I have, though? No, I don't have that. Check. No, I do have that. Check. Okay. I think I know what I'm doing. Check to start. Oh, they didn't even block with the queen. My idea was the queen blocks. Check. The king runs here. Queen h5. Looking at the knight and the king. That was the idea, but they ended up running. So, yeah, I mean, sure. Just scanning, making sure there's nothing wrong with this. I do have to be careful about mating nets with the queen and the knight against my king, but my knight does cover g2. Let's go attack that queen now. Fly in, and the knight covers both of those. So this is mate. All right. We're getting closer, y'all. Okay, so 2 pawns in the center. Good start. I'll go a3 against this move order. If bishop e6, I get a tiger with an extra tempo. All right, now that, again, it's too early. I'm going to play it a little different this time. I'm going to go takes, and I'm going to go knight d2. I think that's better than knight c3. It's just more stable, more solid. The bishop has more immediate activity. Now, thankfully for them, they have a knight there that can take, so they don't have to lose castling rights. We can attack that pawn. You got to defend it. Okay, I'll fianchetto, castle fast. So yeah, now my bishop has great activity. I can remove the knight and then take the pawn as an option. At the same time, this pawn is going to be weak forever, so I don't have to be in a rush to take it. I can always castle 1, 2, 3, do that kind of thing. Yeah, I'm probably going to want to play h3 before I castle, come to think of it, because castle and here, yeah, I could play rook f1 or knight h3, but it's just a little annoying. Although I guess if here and rook f1, I don't think there's anything they can do from that point. The question is, do I want to take this and take this? Because my dark squares will be so much weaker. I think it's okay. I'm not castled yet, so a3 is protected. That's a big deal. If I was castled right now, I don't think I'd go for this. Maybe I would. I don't know. It's one of those things. It's like, hey, you want to win the pawn now or later? Up to you. Either is probably fine. Not always. Okay, now that's a threat. If you take, I take. They do have a pin there. Or a skewer, maybe, technically. I don't know. But my knight can't move. Okay, so we already messed up their pawn structure with one hippo bishop. Will we be able to create the 6 isolated pawns with the hippo? We'll see. I love when that happens because your opponent, even if you're at even material, your opponent has 6 isolated pawns. You can't make that work in the endgame. So if I'm black here, I'm going with that. Maybe that, but I'd probably go king d7. Maybe that. I don't know, one of those. Here, I guess your knight improves, but yeah, so here we go. So we used our hippo bishops. I'll go back real quick. Okay, we used one, and then eventually the other. It's happened many times before where right away the board opens up, you take both knights, and your opponent has 6 isolated pawns. 4 of them being doubled. And now we just play the endgame. I was about to do that. I don't know why, because I'd lose a3. Okay, I'll go 92. Like, imagine a king and pawn endgame right now. There are so many targets that I can just run up and go look to take. Whereas for black, it's a little bit harder, of course. I got to play at some point f3 or something to not let that king in. Okay, so the rook on a1 is getting looked at. I'll offer a trade. The bishop has left a3. If you take it, I don't have a rook to take back with, so neither of us would own the file at that point. I'm also going up against the bishop, and this is the problem with having a bishop. I can just put all of my pawns on the opposite color, and I'm okay. So let's start with this. a4, your bishop is absolutely useless against these pawns now. I could go c3. Let's do that. It's not the end of the world for a pawn to be on a dark square either, but in general, you want to think about how to make their bishop worse. And I don't have to be super worried, guys, about my pawns being on dark squares right here, because what's the bishop going to do? They're all on their starting squares or the 3rd rank. The Hippo at this stage hasn't pushed like crazy on the king side, so I'm okay. I can just, you know, play quiet moves. I'm going to improve my king now. Just improve the king. Part of being really good at endgames, getting good at endgames, is learning that when to be in a rush and when not to. Neither side has passed pawns right now. My opponent really can't do anything besides create weaknesses like they just did. Now I have a fork. And, I mean, this is one of those positions where if I do this all day for like 10 moves, there's not much they can do. There's really not. They can make cheap little threats, but besides that, you got isolated pawns everywhere. Okay, I'll take c6 now. Now we're up 2 pawns. If the king does try to get in, I may have to go f3 or h3. Because I don't want the king getting to f3. That's too active. And the bishop can't do it. The bishop's useless right now. The bishop would have to attack f2 or h2, which just ain't going to happen for a very long time. You can't get to g1. You can't get to e1 unless somehow I let you in. So the bishop's useless. The rook can't do much. If you go here, I could lock it up. Yeah. Rook g8. I could attack that pawn. That would create some pawn structure issues, though. Maybe knight d4. The rook's probably wanting to get to g4. If I play f3, I am a little bit concerned about h4. Just going crazy, creating activity. We don't want that. How can we just give our opponent nothing here? Just quiet moves that give them really no play. On top of that, if they do go here, I can always kick them out, and they're going to have to run off of this file anyway. Okay. When I don't know what to do, I'll run the knight back. I got what I wanted. I'll run it back. If you want to trade, I'm okay with that. Okay, you don't want to trade. Let's push this pawn. Yeah, they're all on the bishop's color. This is not a position where the bishop can do anything. All right, the bishop is now trapped. You can go here or here. Either way, your rook is babysitting it. I think this is a lot better, because if you go to a8, talk about being locked up. Now I could take the bishop, and trading is good, but I got to ask myself, what can my opponent do? They can't move the bishop. You can't. And if you move the rook away from the bishop, I win it. So this is good tension for me. Your bishop's not attacking my knight. My knight is attacking your bishop. A bishop and a knight cannot be attacking one another at the same time. So this is good tension for me. This is not a bishop that can go run away. That means I have all the time in the world. I'll go rook d1. Let them sit in this for a bit. There's no way for them to fix this. The king can't come over and help. The rook can't fight for this file. I don't even know what black does here, to be honest with you. I don't know. Okay, I'll slow that down. Maybe they give up a pawn and try to run in. Can't do that either. And then in the meantime, I'll start pushing. They're stuck. I can do this whenever. And by not doing it for a while, it really freezes them up. Okay. I'll push again. Here, here, here. Black is absolutely frozen. There are times in chess where your opponent can do a lot. There are times in chess where their bishop is about to become very active. It can do a bunch of stuff. You got to take it when you can. But, guys, how do you get a worse bishop than this? I don't know. Right? You can't get much worse than that. Okay, I'll just keep making progress. A6 next. A7. Is there anything else I can do to improve my position more before doing all that? I guess I could trade rooks first. Okay, A6. Okay, if you want to trade rooks, that's fine. Your bishop's still trapped. So you got to go back. Okay, now with that move, now we win the bishop. Notice we didn't trade. We won it. The rook didn't want to have to keep defending it forever. I mean, maybe there I even think about going and getting that pawn. All right, y'all. The last game now, if I win. Against e4. Ugh. The second your opponent does this, you're better. Terrible move. Good move on their part. They saved themselves a lot of trouble by not defending that pawn. So this isn't crushing for us now. It's still good, though. All right, I'm going to go c5. Notice I have 2 pieces developed. I'm not in the Hippo. That's okay. I got 2 pieces developed. They have none developed. Okay. We'll take... This is interesting. I could take it and create an isolated pawn, but then I'm losing my bishop. I kind of like my bishop. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. But if I do take, and they take with the queen, you know what? I do like my bishop, but I want to create an isolated queen's pawn, an IQP. An IQP can be good in the middle game, opening segment. Once the endgame hits, an IQP can be a nightmare. And we're already in the endgame. So, yeah, I don't think white should have took with the queen there. That's just a big old target now. That's really all you're doing with it. You could take space, go ahead. Our knight there's going to have a couple of threats. Okay, so they end up just giving up that pawn. Fine with me. Let's improve our other knight. We got to start developing now. Offer a trade. We're up a pawn. My rook is also very close to getting activated in the center. And it feels like white's a little bit behind on that. Like takes, and the next move, I'm looking towards a check. Okay, castle. Yeah, the king, I get it. You're trying to have an active king in the endgame, but you got to develop these pieces. They're not doing anything but sitting there. A trophy on the wall. That's what they're doing. They're just hanging out. They are what they are, but they're not doing anything. Takes. So now we have complete control of the file. Yes, it's the endgame. Development still matters. I have 3 on nothing. in terms of pieces out. I feel like E3 is a very weak square, so I'll go take that. That takes away D1. It attacks G2. If check and they run over, I could always take it and then do discoveries. That would be good. Check. They run. Yeah, the other option is going King B8 to get off of this file. That way this is an option, getting both rooks involved fast. Okay, check. Check. I get the rook now. Although, I actually think I get more than that. Here, I can go check. Check. Takes. Is there a mate there? It's so close to mating, but I don't see one. Check. They only have one move. If I go here, they run. Yeah. I can't move this guy. Okay, so I'll do this. Yep, you got one move. Check. You only got one move, and then the rook falls. All right, y'all, you're probably wondering why is this video so long? Well, let's just say that in the middle of filming the 500 to 600 segment, my OBS stopped working. So I had to refilm it. Chess.com had to reset my rating. I had already filmed the 600 to 700 as well. It got reset all the way back to 551. I finished that one. And here, you know, I was thinking I could just play on my phone and go up to 700 and then continue. But then I'm like, you know what? Maybe some of you want me to go from 600 to 700 twice. If you don't, I don't blame you. If you do, here we go. We're doing it again. Okay, that's what's happening here. Let's get it. All right, G3. Okay, so they're going for a King's Indian to start. I have time to fit this in. That's all good. I mean, let's see, D3. Now that's a blunder because I can take this bishop and then take the hanging piece and run back home. Yeah, I don't have a dark square bishop anymore. These are weak. This is a hole, technically, but I'm happy because their king side's weaker than, well, it's technically the same amount of weakness, but they have a king there, so that's good for me. All right, E3, and more importantly, we're up a piece. And, you know, one fun idea that you can throw in there is actually fianchettoing your queen and kind of replacing that diagonal. So I may even take that up. Are you gonna find other channels telling you to think about fianchettoing a queen? Probably not, but that's how I play. Okay, fianchetto this queen here. See what they do. And by having that queen there, they may be more tempted to push. Okay, we lock it up and we get the pawn structure we want with pawns facing towards their king side. I'm not going here before they push because then that's weak and that diagonal's weak. But if they push, sure, I'll lock it up. If they push the e-pawn, I'm not locking it up though, I'd take. So here, 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 here. And what else? We got, there's different things. Yeah, D4. Okay, I'll lock it up. We have this ready to go now. We have the queen on a nice diagonal. If F5, that's interesting because I don't necessarily want to let F4 happen, but taking is a little shaky. Now with queen G5, a lot of good moves here, guys. If you play something like this or this to trade down since you're up a piece, that's great. F4, I don't love it. I don't hate it either, but I don't love it because if they take, I can't take with my pawn. I do like H4 though. Okay, see where that queen wants to go. If you run in here, you're close to being trapped. I mean, what can I do? If I go f3, they run away. If I go here, 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 they take. I run over. I'll start with this. You can't go to f3. We got that covered. We got this covered very well. Your side of the board, not so much, but that's okay. I push. I'd like to go here now, but I can't. Could I go f3? But that doesn't threaten anything. It just doesn't threaten anything. What I could do, I could move the knight out of the way. If they jump in. Yeah, but what's my knight doing there? There's got to be a better spot for this guy. I mean, you're attacking a pawn that's very well guarded and can get kicked whenever they want to kick it. Do I run back? I could. Rook over. I mean, there's a lot of moves that are totally fine and winning. I'm just trying to find the best one. A trade is not bad. It's not bad. It's not a fast mate, but it's not bad. If I move this knight, the queen could jump in, which is a bit annoying. If I push, they take. I'm up 2. I kick the queen. They run. I step back. I do like the attacking chess there. I'm only sacking a pawn, giving up 1/3 of my material advantage. I think I'll go for that. So kick the queen. Now I can throw this knight over. If you attack it, I defend it. And I'm looking at queen h6. Here, same idea. Looking at this. g5 would be a good move to throw in as well against this pawn structure because that really freezes these pawns up. But right now I'm trying to get my queen there. Can they even stop that? I don't. They could go rook h8. Yeah, rook h8. It's still an active queen though. Now that move I was not expecting. I will be completely honest with y'all. I did not see that coming. The king wants to go here. I could chase the king. And chase the king. But what's that really do? I want to prevent the king from running at all. I'll go knight g5. So now your king cannot move. Everything's taken away. Maybe a rook lift. If queen there, I could take. Yeah, taking is fine, but I think the best thing we can do is activate our rook, which, you know, it did its job. It helped the king get out, but now it's not doing much. But now it is. All right. Okay, we got a d4 start to this thing. Fianchetto. Oh. I don't have words at this point, guys. I just don't have words. Okay, look to get that queen. Sure, I'll take that. I have all this memorized. Okay, this is all important theory. If you haven't checked out my video on, for those of you that are under 1,000 rated, make sure to go check that out. I'll leave it in the description below. Okay, I could check and then run back. There's no knight here though, so like that move doesn't hurt them in the way that it would have if there was a knight present. I'll go bishop d7. I'm threatening e5. If you play f4, I'll take it anyway. Nice little tactical theme there. Because if you, let's say they push their pawn and I take, if you take my bishop, my knight escapes. We're good. If you take my knight, I take your hanging bishop. And so we have knight c3. This is a great move. I'll continue with castling though, just to see what they do. And I was just about to say, that move right there is the worst possible move white could play. It's over. All right, here we go. Okay, we already got our little CARO-KANN defense player here with bishop f5. I'm guessing they play the CARO. I don't know. It's just a guess. h3. They might play the London too. I don't know. I feel like CARO-KANN players like their London. I don't know. What do CARO-KANN players play? I mean, I used to play the CARO-KANN in tournament chess, and I got wiped with it because against the advanced variation, for those of you that know what that is in the CARO-KANN, I always played bishop f5, and I just, oh my gosh, it was rough. Okay, it was rough. Now I know about the Botvinnik Karl's defense, which is super fun, and I enjoy that a lot. And the Gurgendies or Gurgendies, however you say that, I don't know. I can't block with the knight. They take. I could run with my king. I'll just do that. It's the Hippo. It's not the end of the world. I know that looks crazy, but it's okay. We're okay here. All right, I'll kick that bishop around. You obviously can't go there for a couple of reasons. And bishop e2 is what I want to do next. I'd like to tuck this knight, but d3 is attack, so maybe I gotta move my queen. Yes, this pawn's pinned. That's okay. There's no way for them to really go crazy against it right now. Maybe knight c5 at some point, but beyond that, I'm not sure. And now I can tuck the knight. And now e4 is a possibility because I got 4 defenders on it. You got 4 attackers, which is not going to be enough. So I could do this right now. I don't have to. I'd like to take the space they give me, but that would be a blunder. I could attack the bishop. That looks solid. I could finish the king walk as well. Let's I was about to say let's do that, but knight e5 is annoying. And knight c5 as well. Okay, maybe we gotta do this. Because both of those put good pressure against d3. And I could defend it, but it's easier just to get rid of that bishop's presence. They run, maybe I push. It's a little gutsy with the king on f1, but I feel okay. Same with here. You know, come to think of it, this knight doesn't have a lot of space. If you go here, kick, the knight's trapped. The question is it worth it? Is it the same here? No, because they have numbers. But if they go here, they don't have the numbers. If takes, check, it's just a trade. So maybe they can get out of it if they go back. It's going to be hard for them to navigate that, but technically possible, I think. Technically possible. But a very, very direct line that you got to find. All right, the bishop runs. We have here. Here. I'll go knight just because that bishop is still active and I want the option, you know, I want the option of getting rid of it whenever I want to. So like if this ever feels to be too much on that pawn, I can just get rid of that guy. Now, if I take the bishop, they go check, so that's not good. I could take with my knight. There's a pin there. Do I care? Not that much, because I can get rid of your bishop. Taking with the bishop as well is very strong. But yeah, you got a pin, you got 2 attackers. If you add another one, I get rid of one of yours. We're good. Yep, get rid of that guy. Now, at some point, I should get my king to h2. Is now the moment? It might be. It might be. King g1, if f5. I don't want to go g4. That's too weakening. The knight's looking at those. My pawn is very necessary, neutralizing that g6 knight. So I don't want to go there to prevent that. It's going to be hard to prevent this in general as the game goes on. Like if I go here, they don't have the option of doing that right then, but they could kick me and then do it or whatever. So maybe I go king g1. I have enough defense on it. If you kick me, it's not the end of the world. I could also throw in a check if I think that's good. I think that's fine. Might as well throw in a little check there, or move the knight, and then you have a target. But okay, queen b6. That, what's that doing? Putting pressure on b3, putting pressure on f2. Okay, I like that move for them. I'll tuck my king. See what they decide to do with that. I got enough defense here. So these are my weakest pawns right now, I'd say. This one's defended twice. This one is defended once. But we gotta fight for the open file now. It is hard for them to target this pawn because their knight is so far away and the bishop is not a light square bishop. Maybe this at some point could be good too. Like, this bishop doesn't have to stay here forever, guys. Right? I don't have to keep it here forever. And it's not like the best diagonal on earth. This diagonal, I'm very happy with, though. Okay, might as well get my worst piece to become one of the better ones. Okay. Sure. Now you don't have the bishop there, so knight f5. That's coordinating very nicely. Queen c3 as well. Looks fun. Yeah. Okay. What's this guy doing? It's taking a moment. All right, f4. So f4, there's different moves. You can go d5. You can also just continue with bishop g7. That move right there is a mistake. And here we go. So now this is transposed into the e4, g6, d4, bishop g7, e5, d6, f4 line. So I'm going to take, if they take with the d pawn, easy. If they take with the f pawn, I'm going c5 to break open this file. It's not the Hippo, but I recommend memorizing this. And here you can go knight h6, looking at f5. This is the target. You got a lot of pawns here. I get that, but it's not locked up. That's the problem for white. We're putting so much pressure on this. It's not like we have a locked up position with our pawns. Okay, our bishop's very active now. If you take as well, you're up a pawn, but your pawns are scattered all over the place. They're way too exposed. White needs to start developing here. I'll block. Okay, so the bishop runs. I was going to say, if here, I'd probably take with the queen. So that's actually a good move by them to check and then go back. Because if I had an option between the bishop being on d7 or c8, I would choose c8. Because I could go knight c6 and put direct pressure with my queen against d4. Now if I do this, I mean, it's still good. I'm not going to lie. But it's not as good as a queen also looking at d4. Castling looks good. I'll start with that. Okay, so they got pressure on f7. That's okay. I got a rook there. h3 is defended. That diagonal is untouchable. Okay, you just made your bishop worse, and we now have a fork. And we're up material now. Where's this queen going to go? Here? Yeah. Do I want to trade or do I want to keep those guys on the board? I'll trade. I'm up a pawn. And then queen c7. And this is the kind of stuff that's going to happen. Like you try to play a Hippo, your opponent very early in the game just throws pawns at you. And then if you play it properly, here they have one piece developed. We have 4. So 4-1 is a big deal. And we're castled. So 5-1 in that sense. Now they're looking to castle I don't want them to castle. I don't really know if I can stop it, though. I could go here with the bishop, but then my bishop gets kicked pretty easily, in fairness. I could offer a trade. If they don't want to trade, that's good. If they do want to trade, that's good. All right. We'll go for that. If you take, b2 will fall. And if you take here, then okay. The game goes on. Queens are off the board. We have 2 bishops versus 2 knights. 2 bishops are incredibly difficult to go against because you can't hide anything. Your pawn hides on one color. Okay, you hit from one of the bishops, but the other can see you. Now, facing one bishop, that's a whole different ball game. But this is nice, having 2 bishops here. I was going to go here. Although, can I just do that? I think that works. Yeah, they're so underdeveloped that everything just starts falling. Okay, now I have to take the rook or else it runs away. If I take the pawn, the rook runs away. I'd rather win the exchange than win a pawn there. Now, the knights are looking a little crafty there. Knights are difficult. No way around that. I'm going to go here. I know it's weakening and you're not supposed to push your f-pawn, but we're in the end game and I want to neutralize this knight. I don't want that knight jumping into e5. Or this one, for that matter. I could make a passer. Well, I could give them a passer, but then I get a passer. And their knights are not very well coordinated because they're both on light squares where my bishop is, and I can easily attack either one very quickly. And this pawn's not going anywhere. Which rook do I want over here? Probably this one so that this guy can stay here. These 3 files look pretty good to me. So I'll bring this guy over and then this guy can make a choice. I'm putting pressure towards that pawn. Now I'm thinking about bishop e6 or bishop b5. Probably bishop e6. That looks a little strange, but... Okay, so the knight wants to jump in. If you want to jump all the way in, your knight's trapped. There's nowhere to go. Yeah, nowhere to go. You could get something for the knight, though. And when you're in this kind of situation, guys, get something for it. Don't just lose it for nothing. Don't play here, right? Just get something for it, at the very least. We'll see what they do, though. Okay, good move. So we have takes. Sure. The second rank is looking very exposed, and there's not really a lot of pawns for me to snatch off like you usually think of when you think of the second rank or the 7th rank. But it does eliminate their king from advancing at all, and they don't even have pawns that are off of the sideline, so they can't, there's no protection for the king. They can't go, there's a pawn here, okay, I'm gonna go here and get out and play active. It's just stuck. Might as well look at the passer just in case. And I'm thinking we start swinging this rook over. If you take the bishop, it's over. If you go back, we double up. And that's a lot of pressure. Or I trade. I could just trade. I don't know why that didn't hit my brain. Yeah, we could trade too. Okay, so the knight runs. Let's throw in a check, see what they do with that. The knight blocks. Okay, I'll get in the middle of these. If you push, I'm not taking here. I would take here. So that's the threat, mate in 1. If you take me, okay, I'll take you. If you push now, I have 1, 2 getting back. And then here, we'll stop that pawn. Knight d3, that does attack c5. Okay, I'll save the pawn. I don't really want to lose it. And you're going there anyway, might as well save my pawn. That looks weak. And there's so many winning moves, guys. But what's a good principle? Going back, looking at the pawn, looking at their passer, slowing that guy down at this point because we're up material. Often when in rook endgames, I've found if you have a choice between attacking and defending, it's better to go, you know what, take my pawn. I'm going to go get one of yours. Most of the time, that's the right option. Not always, but most of the time. Okay, you can have the bishop. It's okay, bro. If they take my rook, my pawn is way closer than theirs, and their king is not in the square. Okay. And okay, I could make another queen, but let's just win with the one we have. What now? What now? There's something here. Come on. Okay, I'm going to go here. Here. Check. Check. Oh, yeah. All right, going up against Sam here from the UK. Y'all already know. You already know this is bad. Those of you that watch the speedrun, it's just bad. Okay. They defend with the bishop. Same principle for us. Make it so they can't castle while we can. Castle queenside with check. Okay, attack that pawn. If you defend it, we can check again. We can check again. Now here, I'll run back. I'll look at that pawn. I feel like my bishop's better than theirs. This looks tempting. It's almost a trap, but either one looks okay for them. Okay, so we'll get our one pawn advantage. We're castled, they're not. Our rook is way ahead in terms of the race for activity here. Now I'll go here. See what they want to do with that. Do they want to trade? Do they want to get their knight pinned? They want to trade. I'd say that's a good move. Okay, we can take that guy off. And I'm going to go h5. If you go g5, your knight is not looking good. And I think e6 is a good move as well. Now, for me, I'm looking at f5. That's the weak square. For them, they should be looking at f6. That's my weak square. So they should be trying to get a knight to e4, one of them. We'll see if they do that. Now, I will say as well, this is very weak. I can target this. They really can't target this guy, though. I mean, you could if you go here or here, but how are you going to get here? You can't. How are you going to get here? Come on. Okay. So we'll develop. I'm thinking maybe here to target f4. It's not easily guardable for them. Knight f5 as well is obviously great. But yeah. All right, here we go. Trade. Take control of the file. And target f4, which I don't think they can guard. I think that pawn's just going to fall. Okay, I'll trade, sure. Okay, going up against the knight. If you defend the knight, I can take it and then throw in a fork. So the best thing you can do is move your knight out of the way right now. Guarding it, you only lure the rook into a forkable position. You can't go here though. You could go here, here, here. Any of these moves are the best, I'd say. Yeah. So the knight falls. Check. And then now our knight will just start picking off those pawns like candy while making sure their king doesn't get too much activity. When we're thinking about king routes, if I move my knight all the way back here, and I did this all day, I don't see a way for the king to actually get here. So that's good for us. Now I could take this. I'll take this guy though. Attack that pawn. Fork these guys now. Doesn't matter, not really, but let's just take the outside pawn so that that bait is very far. Okay. I like to call this bait. So we have our bait. They have to deal with it. If they ever step here, it's over. So now I could just do my thing. I don't have to push this. I'll just wait until they leave, and then I'm good. And if you stayed here forever, my king will just run in. All right. Fianchetto that bishop. D3 against nearly anything unless they try the good old bullet trick. They don't want to do that. Come on. Unless it's bullet. Sometimes in bullet they'll do that because you're pre-moving and then they'll go take and that. Ugh. Nothing like that right there. Okay, you push the D pawn, we'll lock it up. Now we have this momentum. I'm not going to fianchetto anymore. My bishop's on a great square. Okay, we're going to go here anyway. Play it slow. Doesn't look like white's doing too much, right? We're just hanging out. I don't know, eating a cookie or something. Just hanging out here. That does weaken this, although if I check, it doesn't really do much. It's not a bad move though. Check and go back or something. Let me see what that bishop wants to do. Like, are you really committed to this pin? If you go back, you're not going to be able to get to these squares, which are helpful. If you take, you gave me the bishop pair. If you go back, you go back. Okay, they go here. So I could kick and kick, but why? I mean, this is not bad. I don't mind that. I'll do that. But another kick, I feel like their knight gets better one way or another. I could take and I could take to create bad pawn structure, but they're technically not isolated. There is a D pawn there. So I will continue with this. Knight f4 is an idea to think about, depending on what they do. Okay, in fact, here... Yeah, now I can do this. You don't have a5 anymore. If here, probably a4. Now, I could kick. I could also improve my knight. Let's improve it. I'm also looking at queen h5 check. I don't think they want me to do that. Now, I guess if I had check with the knight there, they could go g6, but now you have nothing that can block very well. No pawn that can block. Your knight can block. Yep, the knight blocks. I think we got to move our knight now. But if I move my knight and they go here and I run, my queen is trapped. Oh my gosh. What the heck? Guys, maybe I played a little over aggressive here. I still like my position, but I think what I gotta do, let me take this. So now they could go up material, so I got to play crazy here. I got to break it open. I do have a nice bishop looking at b7, so that bishop is overworked right now. Yeah, so that was overrushed. Interesting. Now, knight f6. Take, nah. I run. They take. I take. That looks aggressive. Take. I'm down a piece, up 2 pawns. Maybe could get a 3rd pawn back. If they go here, I take. If they take, I get a pin. So I do have a pretty good pawn presence. If I were them, I would not do that. I'd probably, I don't know, here. Yep. Okay, snatch that guy off. That's weak. Okay, so the queen improves. Do I... Yeah, I think we throw a knight in there. Or do I castle? You know what? Let's castle. Let's get the heck out of there, because that's such an important file right now. Okay, they don't even want my e6 pawn. Well, not yet, at least. Defend it. Nice e3. Yeah, that's fine. There you go, queen e5. Okay, now I have a 3-way fork, so something's gonna drop. Yeah. And actually 2 things might drop, because if you move your rook, I can go check or check. If you move the knight, then I just get your rook, so I only get 1 thing instead of 2 minor pieces, but it's still good. I mean, I could take or trade if I want to. I'll be up material at that point. I guess if they move the rook, which knight is... Does it matter which knight I take first? I'm not totally sure it matters. Yeah, so knight f6. That's a good move. That kind of holds everything, well, at least holds 2 pieces together. Okay, we'll go check. You can't block. King over. Okay, I want to get this bishop involved. If they go here, I do have the option of taking and then pinning, just to trade down some. With that move, I'm happy to pin the queen. If you go c5, that looks good, that looks good. Let's improve the rook. A rook lift up to the 5th rank. You kick, I go here. What's my threat? Probably here. Takes, because then I have a pin. But yeah, black has found some very good moves in this game. Very nice moves. They defended that short side diagonal check very well. I'll make sure to go take a look at that right now. So right here, guys, let's see. Okay, the engine has it at over +2 if I play here. That's a good night. And what's the idea now? It's saying h4 soon. So like if they go here, that's a good move. If they kick, I can always run home. But at that point in time, I don't have to. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, because I looked at this check and it's almost always good, but the knight blocks and black is nearly -1 now. That was the best move for me. This was all good. That was a mistake. I guess I'm supposed to castle or play knight f3. That makes sense. I like knight f3. That activates the bishop, but yeah, checking there was too zealous because of this knight. Maybe I gotta do this, right? And another thing too, like with check, even if the king ran, I don't have this like I usually would. You don't have to take with the pawn, you can just take. So that knight did a great job of covering both of those squares. Something for me to keep in mind going forward. Okay, here we go. Hopefully this one's a little more smooth than the last game. A lot of King's Indians. Okay, we have castling. We'll just keep doing our thing. All right, so we got a 2-pawn center. Okay, they push again. We keep on doing our hippo. They attack it. Okay, we'll have our queen help out. That's a blunder. If here, I go there. Defend it? I don't want to take and then lose my rook, so I think we got to give that knight some help. If you go here, I can still do this. It's just not crushing like the other line. Although takes here. How much material am I up right now? I'm up 2 right now. Okay. I'm up 2. So takes check. Takes check. Here. Even material, but gosh, those knights are scary. Knight, queen back, maybe? Wait, but I can't take that. What am I saying? Here? Maybe that's the answer. Because if you take, I take. Okay. I think I found the move there. Hard to find that. It took me a while. So the knight, yeah, you can't go there, you can't go there. If you take, I take, and then your knight's 2 squares diagonal of my king, so it's not going to have checks anytime soon. But they do have that. And then that. And then we're in a game where it's, what, 2 minor pieces versus a rook and 2 pawns. A rook and a pawn, that's easy. Like, 2 minor pieces, way better. A rook and 2 pawns, that's a little more dicey. Okay. So we'll see takes here. Okay, so they're going to have a rook and 2 pawns. I'll have 2 minor pieces flying around. Castle. I could have took that, but rook c8. Okay, I'll take it. So now we're at even material, but I got the 2 minor pieces, so I feel a lot more confident now in my position. I'm not sure what that does, to be honest. Same with that. I guess they're trying to break it open, but I got all this very well covered. It's like a King's Indian structure. It's very solid. All of this is covered by a minor piece. At least once. Check. That's not check. Check. Yeah, we'll do that. Check. No. Okay. I'm looking at f5. If it's my move, I go knight f5. You can't take or it's over. Now I can't do this. I could do this or take. So there I have takes, and then I could perpetual it, but that's not... Why would I do that? I could check here. I'll do that. just because I have bishop takes d5 as an option. Okay. So now I need to trade. I could have traded a while back, but now we got 3 connected passers against rooks that are bad at defending pawns in the endgame. Okay. Throw in that check. Throw in... another one. Might as well. Bishop would have been fine too, but I think this is more sound because you get to trade down. And your opponent has nothing but a rook and a pawn. Okay, my bishop really can't do anything about that pawn, but I'll just start slowly expanding over here. Alright. What do we got here? So we got e4. Don't play e5, bro. We've had too many of those. Thank you. Appreciate you not doing that. So, what else? I mean, there's a lot of moves. Bishop c4, e6, bishop e3. I'll go e6 anyway. Make sure, guys, if queen d2, you don't tuck this knight, because that's annoying. The engine might tell you you're okay, but just stop, okay? Just play h6 first, if the queen's there. And if the queen's not there, you could do h6 anyways. It's up to you. For a second there, I was going, are they going to castle queenside? But no. Okay, got the 2-on-1. That gives us this. That gives us this. And this. a6 is something that should be thrown in soon because of the bishop and the knight looking there. If I see this, don't do that. You're losing. That's horrendous. Blocking looks fine. I mean, if they go here, I go here, and then that's not there anymore. You go knight e4, but now that is interesting because on one hand, yeah, that's interesting. There's a lot of things that you could do here. Taking in one way looks pretty good because you double isolate the pawns. I will say in an open game like this, I'm not comfortable with giving up my bishop that fast, though. Taking in another sense, very sound. Pushing in another sense, very sound. I'm going to push. I like this position. I like how these pawns have nothing in front of them at all. And we could take our time with it. F5. You can't get to e6. We got d4 and g5 covered. If you do that, okay, we'll block. If you go here, we'll go here. These are all good moves for us. So you're forcing us to play moves that we want to play. a6 as well. At some point. Not if knight e4, but at some point. Could be good. I might just do that next, unless they play knight e4. Because I don't want to knight e4, a6. They take with check. They take b7. Stop. Just stop. Just time out. Okay? Time out on the play there. We're good on that. That's a good move. Bishop c6. Well, I thought it was good. Maybe not as good as I thought. Because I can take it. You do fly in. Right? That's the whole point. But then I take your knight. And I am comfortable with this. I'm giving up my queenside bishop. Your kingside is a wreck now. Even material. That is annoying. I can't castle. But maybe here? Offer a trade. If you attack my rook, I castle. You could take and check. Maybe I run to c6. If you run here or something, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, castling, and we're in a good spot. That move does make sense. Here, here. I can't castle now. I don't want to lose my queen. Take. Still can't castle. I could go knight f6. And then castle. Although, I guess if I go knight f6 and then castle, they go bishop takes h6, and my bishop is overworked. Don't know if I love that. You know what I'm saying? Bishop back. They run somewhere. We offer a trade. They attack. Not comfortable. On my hand, if I can get out of this situation, they do have terrible pawn structure. But it's a matter of maybe king e7. They can't check me. Even if you go here and I bring help, you still can't check me. So maybe that's what I got to do. Still can't check. Yeah, because the rook falls. You can get material back, but it's not going to be a full rook. Here. Looks fine. Take, maybe? But then your knight's trapped. I mean, I don't really want to keep getting checked. It's kind of annoying, bro. Not gonna lie. C2 is weak if the knight ends up jumping into that C7 spot. In one hand, this helps my bishop. On another hand, probably why they're playing it, it helps theirs. If I go here, check. It looks scary, but it's really not. I'll do that. You can't take with the knight. If you take with the bishop, thanks. If you check and check, I'm fine. Okay, your knight's pinned. I'll take that pawn. You still can't move it. Not yet, at least. I'm now threatening both of those. Okay. Let that guy fall off the board. B2's looking weak. Yeah, I mean, even something like rook b1, I may just give up the exchange and then take a pawn. But okay, they go b4 instead. All right. I'll look at the defender for your pinned knight. Okay, I think they forgot that it was pinned. Okay, we go g6. It's just so bad, guys. It's just a bad move. If you don't like playing against this, go check out the under 1,000 video. If you're under 1,000 and you play the modern, you need to watch it. I'm serious. Okay? It's a bad move. Now, taking, that kind of saves them a little bit, but now they're, yeah, the queen's gonna, they're either down a pawn or they're gonna have to take with their king, lose castling rights. Okay, we're now putting pressure on e5. Check. Check. And now the knights are off, so I am okay with taking. The knights are off the board. You can't take with the knight, only the king. Now we have check, and if you step over to save this guy, knight b3. If you don't, knight c2. So the rook's not going to make it either way. Now, their goal should be trap the knight, get the knight back for free. My goal is get the knight out if possible, and if I can't do that, get something for the knight. That way I'm not just up the exchange, but I'm up the exchange and a pawn. So like if here and here, let's just say they did this, I'm not just going to lose my knight. I'm getting something for it. Okay. Shout out to Denzel Washington. It's looking like they might go knight a3. Let me try b5. That way if they go knight a3, I can go check. And then I'd get out. So the king is looking to walk back. It's looking like I don't think I can save my knight, guys. That's okay, though. I got a rook out of it. Get something for the knight. And, okay, we're up the exchange, up a pawn. Check again. That looks good, but why? That's not good, so. Okay, we'll put these pawns on the opposite color of their bishop. If here, I'll probably do that. Maybe I do this. Interesting. Okay, probably trying to get a solid formation there. I'll start putting pressure that way. Okay. Because I'd love to activate this rook. I'd also love to trade if you want to trade, bro. Okay, I'm taking with the knight. That way my rook continues to defend this. If you push here... Okay, they don't. If they push there, I may just push just to eye up h4 with my rook. I'll take that guy. That way they have two isolated pawns. If I take that one, those are still... I'm not going to say they're strong, but at least they're together. This also threatens a trap of the bishop. So, basically anything white does... Well, not that, but most moves stop the bishop from getting trapped. Okay, I'm looking at this, unless they go knight f3. Okay, here's an example, guys, of I'm up 6, I take, I'm up 4 now, it's okay. The knight wins easily. Attack the pawn. Attack the pawn. Attack the pawn. Do I want you doing that? Not really. Get out of here with that stuff. Okay. Fill that square in with my king. Start pushing this guy. And I do have a knight, so I have to be careful I'm not stalemating. Nope, you still got to move. You still got to move. Okay, checks are a nice way to... Now that would be stalemate. Don't do that. Okay. Alright, I'll force you that way. Okay, now you only have 2 squares. I could just... do that. I don't need the knight. The knight and the queen, very tricky when it comes to stalemating ideas at times. Once I was playing I won't say his name, but I was playing a 1800 USCF player. I had like 30 seconds left, not a lot of time. Not even that, I don't know, seconds left. He had, I'm guessing 30 minutes, a lot of time. He had a queen and a knight and a king. I had a king. That was it. He had a queen and a knight. I said, hey, I'm just going to start playing fast. So I start playing super fast, super rushed. He started playing rushed too. He didn't need to, but he started playing rushed. And he stalemated me with the queen and the knight. Anyway, on to the next game. All right, here we go. Oh my gosh, bro. Stop. Don't do it. I mean, he basically already did, but... Okay, don't do this either. Make sure you defend the knight if you try to do that. Alright. We'll see what they do here. Okay, c6, there you go. I'll tuck this knight. Interestingly enough, guys, if knight e7, knight e4, and I'm going to win a bishop, right? There's no way for the queen to move and save that bishop there, so That would have been a big blunder. But d5, much better move. Go here. I'll invite a pin. Y'all know me. It's case-by-case basis if I'm in the mood or not. Now, this is interesting because I can lock it up, which I love my position there. I could also go knight e4 and do a little fork thing. If here, boom, that's great. So they got to go queen e7. I take, they take, take. That works. I'll lock it up. But that would have been, I think, a strong line as well. Now I got my pawns facing towards their king side. I only played e4 once they pushed, so this is taken away from any minor piece that wants to get there. The bishop is not active. Got to have those ready against h5 so I can play g4 when needed. Okay. So we have a lot of good pressure and aim towards f5. Now the downside for me is with this pawn on h4, my knight is unable to get to g3 and f5. Unable. So as this game progresses, I'm probably going to be looking to see if I can somehow win that pawn. That move is a little bit awkward. I suppose they could go for knight or bishop takes g4. I think in response, I'll play knight b3. So this, I have two threats now. One of them's the bishop. The other is a fork, which it looks like they just missed. Do I want to take this first? I don't see why not. Really mess up their pawn structure. Now this is good too for me because you have an isolated pawn. The isolated pawn's on the edge. Who really cares that much? I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but it's pretty minimal, the impact of that. But I will say they do have double pawns, and this pawn is unable to push with the support of another pawn. So that's a very weak square. If I could transport my knight there, I would do it. But I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. But of course, in the meantime, I want to snatch off this knight, or look to. I mean, really the only way for them out of it is queen g6, in which case I'd go bishop f3, and you got to run to g8, it looks like. Yeah. Okay, so good move. So that saves the whole fork thing. What should I do? Rook g1 also works. Yeah, I'll do rook g1. Might as well aim towards that queen. And f4 is a break that I'm definitely keeping an eye on. The knight runs, I advance. If they take, and I take with the knight, they take. I have discovery ideas against the queen, but then check, which isn't that great, honestly. I could take with the bishop. I'll go for that. And if you don't take, f5 is a possibility, which really stakes out so much space on their side of the board. And if you do take, I take, and I'm fine. f6, okay. Let's continue with here. Maybe. Part of me wants to go bishop f3 just to keep the position with high tension, because they only got one piece developed. I got three. Is there a way for me to break this open in a good way? If I take, they take with... No, I like taking. Yeah. If they take with the knight, I can take this pawn. If they take with the pawn, my rook is looking towards their queen. If the queen runs, I could take. Now this is, that's a blunder because my rook is defended. So that's not a concern. And now we're winning now. So what do we have? Take on e5. Again, their pawn structure is just such a wreck. All over the place. Okay, might as well get some development there. See where the queen goes. I have one passer, they have two. I'm okay though. This pawn's stuck. This pawn, you're not going to be able to move that. And you don't even have a bishop. And this is a pretty open game, so 2 knights undeveloped here is not what black wants. I'd like to do that, but then they trade and then take. I suppose I could attack the queen with the bishop. If I go here, they go there. I trap the queen. Okay, I was a little bit concerned about this, but it looks like bishop g2 can be played and the queen has nowhere to go. So I think you got to go. That doesn't work. That would have probably been best. Bishop's defended. That's covered. That's covered. Those are covered. The bishop on g2 is covered. g4 is covered. All this is covered. Yeah, we're in a good spot. I think we're good. Yeah. Hey, appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. Y'all been watching these. It's a lot of fun to make these. I'm obviously passionate about the Hippo, so it's cool to see so many people starting to play it and having good success with it. Okay, we'll move it forward here. Yeah, I just got an email from Michael Taylor that he just won 2 Hippo games in the Pacific Southwest Open. He just sent those over. I'm planning on doing a sub review game soon, so if you have any Hippo games that you want to see, make sure to, if you have any Hippo games you want me to see, make sure to email me at thechessgiant@gmail.com. All right, bishop g2, pawn up. Okay, the f pawn's blocked now, so we don't have to worry about the 150 attack. We don't have to worry about the Austrian. We just play our normal Hippo now. Again, these are interchangeable. Yeah, sometimes we'll see e4 at this point. Now g5 is a good move. It is good. As it looks to lock down f4 a little bit. I will say though, it really depends how black plays from this point. When you expand your pawn structure this much, even if you play a 4-pawn center, the 4-pawn center against the Hippo is scary. But for those of you that have gotten my advanced course, or even I covered a game where I played against on the channel where I covered a 4-pawn center game a long time ago. I think it's called The Hippo is Good, I Am Not, or something like that. Or maybe it's Chess is Hard. I don't remember, but it's a tournament a long time ago. Anyway, when you have a 4-pawn center, you have space. It can be intimidating to play against it, but it's also hard to play the 4-pawn center because you're so exposed already with those 4 pawns. If you push one of them at the wrong moment, which is very easy, everything can collapse. So I would say this is a position where black right now, if we plugged it in, they're probably technically okay. But one wrong move here, especially as we look to add more pressure with something like c4, and I think black could be in a lot of trouble. They could sack. Doesn't really make sense to sack and finish with the knight there. Now this move, I will gladly take it because my Hippo bishop is looking at your knight and your rook. You can't take with the knight. You just can't. Now, if I take the knight and they move their rook there, I could trap it or take on d5. I could also just fly in and take the rook. Either is great. I'm going to take the knight. Either is winning. Okay, you take a piece or you take the rook. d5 falls. Depending on where this rook goes, it could get trapped anyway. And here we get the trade, and then I go up a rook anyway with queens off the board. So yeah, this is a game over at this point, as long as I don't blunder it away. And this is what I'm talking about. You played aggressively, you pushed your pawns like there's no tomorrow. Now you got big old weaknesses. That's a weakness. This is a weakness. This is a weakness. Nothing's coordinated for them right now. Okay, I'll trade. here we go. One of those is going to fall. Once I take this, this will probably fall. F6, oh, can't do that. So as a Hippo player, often when your opponent pushes their pawns like crazy, like we just saw, 6 pawns up on the 5th rank for black, you want to get into an endgame. And that's, you know, that's not a Hippo thing exclusively. There are other openings where we see that. I mean, for even the Sicilian Najdorf, often if you can get to the endgame, you're better. The CARO-KANN, often if you can get to the endgame, you're better. A lot of openings for black, we see that. I mean, they could have checked me. It doesn't really matter. It looks scary, but I don't think it is. I don't want to do that, because then check, and I'm going to lose my rook. I'm good on that. Alright, I'll take another pawn. What the heck? If you chase me, I'll run. If you go here, I might as well throw in a check and trade down some more. Okay, good move by them. They don't want to trade right now. And again, I'm not able to do this with the rook already looking there, as there's this knight f3 move. That does weaken this. Let me try a4. Just defending. If you kick me, I run, but then at least the pawn's a little bit more exposed. If check, well, if check, I take. Take. Here, I wish there was a way to get rid of this knight, but I don't think there is. If I go here, take, yeah, then 2 of my knights are attacked. So I probably got to go right back, which is fine with me. The knight on b5 forever slows that bishop down. Now I could think about this. Even if you go check and then here check and I get your rook. That's interesting. I could castle and move 22. Doesn't get more Hippo than that. Castling in the endgame. Only a Hippo player can do that pull that kind of thing off. But that's what I like about the Hippo. It's super dynamic. It's the endgame. And I went, oh my gosh, I can castle. I low-key forgot I could castle there. But hey, there we go. I was about to do this, but then my knight falls. That is weak. Okay, so now I see the point of this. I was like, what is this guy doing? If I lose the pawn, it's not the end of the planet as we know it. I'd be up 6 instead of 7. Big deal, right? But I don't want to. I don't want to lose it. How can I save it? I could go here. I don't like the pin, though. That's just... I don't like the pin. I could go here. I don't necessarily love my rook. But that's the best thing I see. If you play c5, I gotta jump in there. Trading's fine. g2, and I think we're okay. We're going to start unraveling our position here. Getting a knight to f5. That's a weak square right there. Nothing can kick that knight out. Those of you that are drilling longer time control games, make sure that you're looking through and really assessing the holes, the weaknesses in your opponent's position. And 99% of the time it comes down to pawns. That's the fence line. That's the baseline of a chess position. Pawn structure, what do they cover, what do they not? Black's pawns are not in unity at all. So there's so many different ways that we could look to penetrate their position here. I will say by my rook being here, the knight does neutralize it. So I got to offer a trade soon. Keep it there, I'll take it. You trade, great. You run away, you ran away. And I can move at some point. Okay, there's our trade. If you run, I'll probably go knight f5 just to free up this rook, because there's still going to be some pressure there. All right, now that move I can take. I can take. If you take here, I run back, I'm okay. Oh, That may be bad, actually. Well, maybe not. I was thinking F5. Looks a little scary, but I think there's a line there where I can get out of it. Okay, now it's just pushing pawns. I'll start pushing this guy just to bait the king over a little bit. In fact, that pawn may, well, depending on where they go, the king may not be able to catch up, but they technically could get in the square there. One theme you could use there, guys, rook over. The king's just not able to do anything against this pawn. All right, going up against a 705 who just played the bad e5 move again. Here we go. The theme of this episode. All right, we take c5 on the spot. If you go c3, I will go knight h6. Okay, I'm looking towards f5. If you give up your bishop, great. I have a good bishop now. You have a nice pawn chain in a sense, but also, what the heck was that, bro? Are you serious? I mean, this is wrapping up, guys. Pressure that pinned piece there. In fact, I don't even see how they can guard it. Queen takes bishop next. Okay. Put pressure on that pinned piece there. Knight in. I could put more pressure on the knight as well, if they let me. They should probably run away with their king. If you go here, it's still a pin. Yeah, it's still a pin. We got 3 on it. I could take the rook. I'll take the knight first. If you run, okay. There we go. All right, y'all. Potentially the last hippo in this very long episode where you saw me go from, oh my gosh, guys. I'm telling y'all, if you're around this rating, play the modern. They will hand you the advantage. This is getting out of hand. Out of hand. Here we go again. Bishop takes. Okay, they don't even take with the bishop. Better for me. Okay, got more pressure on that pawn. If you go knight f3, I will pin that knight. Okay, so I'm pinning the knight. Castling queenside is something I'm looking at now. Might as well. Throwing that check. And here we go again. We're about to go up a pawn. I could take. I could take here as well. If I take here, their pawn structure will get ruined because the knight's not really defending it. It's pinned. All right, now I'm looking at this because that knight is pinned. I'm up a pawn. I'm winning now. Automatically, guys. G6. You play one move, your opponent hands you the edge. Okay, I was thinking about this, but that doesn't make the most sense. All right, I'll go there. That's actually good for my king to get off of this diagonal. Okay, let's develop maybe bishop f4. That's a pretty weak square. Look at that knight. Okay, should I take the rook? I could take the rook. I could also... Let me go up 2 pawns. That's a big deal, having this passer already in place. It's a 4-on-2 and you have doubled isolated pawns on the king side. Now I'll run back, see if they want to let me take the knight. They do. Bishop takes or rook takes there works. It all finishes out the same. And what do we have? Check. Okay, let's see. Hey, we'll take the file. If they want to fight for it, great. They move the king. So it's interesting. Depending on the position, there's different strategies that you can use. If you see a bishop, a knight versus bishop, usually, in my studies of it, usually the knight outperforms the bishop at the higher levels most of the time in the endgame. And I think that's due to grandmasters knowing how to place their pawns and pieces so that the bishop is ineffective. There's two strategies. One of them is to put the pawns on the opposite color of the bishop. The other is to put them on the same. If you're putting them on the same color as the bishop, you got to make sure, number one, that your pawns are not locked up, that they actually have the ability to move off of those squares. And typically, putting pawns on the same color as your opponent's bishop only works if your pawns are really close to your side of the board. Okay, so if my pawns are super advanced, it's not going to work. They're too vulnerable. But here, hey, it's fine. The bishop can't do anything against these. Now, if we move these up a bunch, it'd be a different story. Here, and I'm sorry if that sounds, whatever the word is, like they go against each other, and they do. I mean, there's positions you want to put them on the same color or the opposite. Again, in a locked up position, you definitely want your pawns on the opposite color because they can't move. But in this position, having them on the same color, they're on my side of the board by a long shot, and they can't move. So, yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine. All right, back to the game. C4. Yeah, we'll do that. E5 looks nice. And if you want to trade your bishop for my knight, that's okay. I'm up 2 pawns. Okay, I'm now threatening both of those. Snatch that guy off. I'm looking at this now. That would give me 4 passers. Notice, guys, in the endgame, I'm not worried about checkmating my opponent. I'm worried about winning pawns. Winning pawns and promoting one of my pawns. That's what it's all about. All right, I'll go back just to throw that threat in there and kind of re-centralize my knight. I think rook d2 would have been good as well. All right, check. The bishop falls. We'll go here. If here, check. Okay. Take. And the king cannot get in the area, in the square of this pawn. Just not quite fast enough. One move away. All right, there we go. Hey, appreciate y'all. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Yeah, I wanted to finish this video out by giving a quick shout out to my Patreon supporters, including Walter, Rob, Ray, Roger, Jerry, and Gary. Appreciate y'all a ton, as well as the rest of my Patreon community. If you're interested in joining, there are some exclusive benefits that you gain by becoming a member, and I look forward to seeing you guys over there. Peace.